Welcome to Behind the Brand, stories and strategies for building your creative business. This is brought to you by the Pinegateroad Studio. You're listening to episode 41. Welcome to Behind the Brand, stories and strategies for building your creative business. Here we take a deep dive into the brands of heart-centered businesses and entrepreneurs and unveil behind the scenes into how they're building their brands, as well as tips and tricks to how you can build your own dream business. I'm your host, Kelsey Kerslake, and I'm the founder of Pinegateroad, a branding studio for businesses and entrepreneurs ready to get their brands completely figured out. From finding your core values, making that beautiful brand identity that speaks to your ideal audience, to figuring out how to style and strategize your social media platforms and launch your new website, we're here to guide you each step along the way to build your dream business. Head to pinegateroad.com to get in touch today about working together. Hey guys, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here today, as always. I am pumped to let you know that Rachel Shillcock of Rachel Design is here on the show today to share about a little bit something different than we usually deal with as creative entrepreneurs. So while she will be sharing a lot of tips and tricks behind just building her business and her values and all of that good stuff that we always go into, this episode is really about dealing with chronic illness as a creative entrepreneur, because this is something that, while you might not have to deal with on a regular basis, I know there's so many people out there who are dealing with this, and it's something that I've also personally had to work through in different capacities over the past couple years. So I wanted to bring on Rachel to kind of share her story and share how she's building her business to deal with a chronic illness, and how you can kind of just fit your business to fit your life, whether that includes a chronic illness, whether that is a new transition in life, maybe that's marriage, babies, new location, anything like that. So I hope you guys enjoy this show, and I am so glad to have you here. Today's Branding Bite is brought to you by audibletrial.com/pinegateroad. Head to audibletrial.com/pinegateroad to get your free 30 days of Audible, as well as a free download of your choice. So in today's Branding Bite, I really want to talk about how getting your voice and getting your personality out into the world really helps you build your brand and make sales. People buy from people. And this is something that I learned on Alicia Nicole's episode, and it's something that has been really popping up in my life, in my business recently. I know when I get on Instagram and share about my day, share about how I'm doing work, and share my voice, it just really helps people connect with me and get to know me, and people like to buy from people that they like and trust. So even through this podcast, you guys are getting to listen to me, get to know me, and maybe you'll buy from me. I don't know. But if you do, you'll probably choose me over somebody that you've never listened to. So with your own business, I really just want to challenge you to get your voice out there a little more, whether that's through a newsletter, through showing up on live Facebook things, or getting on Instagram Live, or even starting your own podcast. I would love for you to just share your voice, give people the opportunity to get to know you. And I think that the sales will follow from that. So today's Branding Bite has been brought to you by audibletrial.com/pinegateroad. Head to audibletrial.com/pinegateroad for your free 30 days, as well as a download of your choice. Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am really good today. I am so pumped to have you on the show, and I'm so glad that we got to connect over Instagram and just have some kind of I don't know, we had talks that were not business related at all.
Yeah, I find that's often the way with me. I'll just end up, I think I'm one of the only people that messages people after stories. I don't seem to get them that often myself, but I always send them to people randomly, even if it's just an emoji. And yeah, we ended up connecting over there, which was really good.
I know. And then for those of you who are new to Rachel, can you tell people a little bit about what you're doing and yeah, just all of that stuff. A little intro.
Yeah, so I'm Rachel and I'm based in Manchester in the UK, and I'm a designer and I run Rachel Web and Design Studio, and I specialize kind of in helping creative entrepreneurs build and grow more powerful brands. I'm a geek. I'm a proud geek. I love geeking out on all sorts of techie and branding and design stuff. And yeah, that's me, I guess. I've been in business nearly 5 years now as well. 5 years.
That's awesome.
September. Yeah.
We are time twinsies, I think. I started August 2011. So maybe that's almost 6 years.
Yeah, I was September 2012. So like monthly.
Oh, okay.
We're pretty tied.
Yeah. And that was just when I started my blog, and then it didn't really turn into a business until a couple years after that. But officially Pinegateroad started that August.
So I registered the domain in 2009, I think it was. But I've been coding since I was 11, which was like 8 years before that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
wow.
That's what I mean. I'm like a proper geek, like through and through.
A proper geek. I love that.
Geek. Yeah. So, I'm like that. I was like the nerdy kid in high school that was always asked all the IT questions and things.
Uh-huh.
So
when did you know that you wanted to turn this into a business, or were you blogging and then the clients just came, or how? I'd love to hear about how that started.
Well, I think I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always kind of liked that lifestyle that you see where people are on the beach with a drink and then they're working from it and things,
which never really happens in real life.
No. I go to the beach once a year pretty much now, but I'm in a landlocked city in the UK that there's not that many beaches close by. But yeah, I mean, when I started, I didn't even realize that this could be a career, let alone a business for myself. And I had a really bad time at like the UK equivalent of kind of, I guess, late high school for you guys. So what we call college, which is just before university. And I was having a really tough time with like all the academic subjects, and I ended up failing them completely. I was quite proud because I love patterns. Like I've always loved patterns, and I managed to get like a C, D, E, and a U, which was like, I thought that's pretty cool. That's like a nice little pattern. Total fail, yeah. But I thought I've got to find the positives somewhere.
Yes,
and that was my positive
mindset.
Yeah. So I failed it completely, and I went to study like design and things in a more vocational sort of subject and course. And it was only then that I realized, actually people do this for a job as well. And after that, I sort of moved from working in-house at like a corporate, like, I guess, finance company, which I hated. I stayed there for 3 months, and then into agencies. And the agency that I was at, like, kind of for 18 months just before I started working for myself, it started out really well, but then it just didn't end well. I ended up getting signed off with stress. I had like a really bad manager and things like that. So it ended up being that I kind of almost got pushed into working for myself because I couldn't find another role at another agency or anything that I liked the look of. And it was actually around the beginning of starting that job, so about 18 months before I started my business, that I got diagnosed with a chronic illness as well. So
yes,
when that happened, it kind of, for probably 2 or 3 years, into running my business as well, I was just totally in a head blur. Like I kind of became a victim to me in, the way I think about it, of my chronic illness. I was kind of like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And kind of going through that whole grieving process that you have, I think, when you find that you've been diagnosed with an illness like that. And yeah, so I got signed off with stress in August 2012 and started my own business. Yeah. And I kind of big on.
I've never heard of the signed off with stress term before.
Yeah.
Is that like, was it your health that was getting just really, it was kind of building up, and then it was like, oh gosh, like I have to I have to leave because of this and all of that.
Yeah. Like my health was bad. Anyway, like I was struggling, but the I guess it was the environment that I was working in was not conducive to that. And they were, I was bullied pretty much by my manager and it got so stressful that, essentially I went to my GP, my doctor, and they said, you're not going back in. We're going to, you need to leave that place, essentially, which is what all the people around me, all my loved ones were telling me. But then, I ended up leaving, and I never had to go back in. I had to give my month's notice, and I had a holiday booked for part of that month anyway. So I went on holiday, And then those 2 weeks after, the doctor was like, we're going to give you like a sick note eventually, essentially that, you don't need to go back in, because going back in, I was pretty much at the point of having a nervous breakdown, which on top of the chronic illness was just kind of like, whoa, so much going on.
And it's probably caused from the chronic illness in a sense, because I know when I was going through my endometriosis, and for those of you wondering, I had Rachel specifically on this show to kind of like talk about managing your business when you have a chronic illness, because I wanted to like go back and forth, because it's something I struggled through at my corporate job, and that I've been having to kind of deal with as I've built my own business as well. So that is what this show is about. Anyway, now I've lost my train of thought. What is wrong with me today? I'm having some severe brain fog.
I always do this, don't worry. I think you were saying about how like being signed off and being stressed and things with work.
Oh, yes. Okay. So when you do have the chronic illness, I feel like you're so stressed out just to like try to be a normal person.
Yes.
And I always found myself like all of my thoughts were consumed around, am I going to have a pain attack? Am I going to have to leave this project? Like, am I leaving? Am I messing up my teammates' work? I felt like I wasn't in control of anything, and that caused so much stress because other people were relying on what I was doing and just me showing up to the office and things like that, where now working for myself, one of my main things was always, even no matter what illness I have, like, I mean, I was bedridden for weeks and I could still put my laptop on my lap in my bed and like get my work done. And that was so empowering in my mind. So I don't know. It just, I think all that stress of the chronic illness could totally have like added even more to that situation. Cause you're like, I don't want to be a bad team member. I don't want to disappoint this person.
Exactly.
And then it just adds up.
Yeah, and I think as creatives, we're like that anyway, aren't we? Like, I know I'm a complete perfectionist when it comes to my work. And I guess kind of you've got that whole stress of the condition, and then you've got the stress of trying to deliver while you've got the condition and, make sure that you do good work and that you're not letting people down. And I think when, like in my situation, when you get added stress from other things that are completely out of your control and unnecessary as well, and it all mixes together, it's like this whole tumble dryer of stress that you feel like you're rolling around in that isn't any fun, like you soar down the hill kind of thing. And like stress is hitting you from all angles. So I think, there was so many like contributing factors, but I love what you said about how empowering it was for you to actually still be able to work from bed if you needed to, because I did that like I think it must have been about 18 months or 2 years into running my business. So about 3 years ago, and I had this sort of quiet period with client work, but I actually managed to get, I essentially wrote like this huge series of articles for web design shoots called Design School for Developers. But I was really struggling, like I couldn't get out of bed, but I could still like lie in bed and write on my laptop and type and things. So that was just so good to still be able to do some form of work, even though I was really struggling at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there a way that you structured your business because of your chronic illness? Or did it kind of just flow in and out of any of your episodes? I want to hear kind of that behind the scenes of what you did to change your business for your illness.
So I feel like I'm still changing my business all the time, to be honest. I don't feel like there's a magic solution or a magic pill or, a way of working that I've found that works for me 100% of the time. Because like for me, I've got a condition called hypermobility syndrome, which is sometimes known as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 3, because there's 5 different types when it comes to EDS. And what it means is that for me, the difficult thing about the condition is it actually sort of represents in people differently from person to person. So I've got chronic pain every day. Like even just sitting here now, I could tell you like which parts of my body are hurting. But then some people, for example, get like dislocations from it every day, because what it is, it's a connective tissue disorder, and it affects like all of the well, not necessarily all of it. That's why I say for some people it's like one part of the body. For me,
okay.
I remember when I was diagnosed and I was at the hospital, pardon me, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I had. I just knew that I'd gone in because I had a really sore knee. It had taken me over a year to get that diagnosis and to get to that point. But then I remember him, like, this guy got so excited and he went, "Can I go get my medical student? This is really rare." And I'm like, oh God,
oh my
like,
gosh.
I don't even know what it is. You know, his bedside manner wasn't great, but him, you know, he was a really nice guy. But yeah, that was a bit like, oh God, what's up with me? And he said, the reason that it's so rare for me is that it affects every single joint in my body. So the connective tissue disorder that it is essentially means that all of my connective tissue is like really stretchy and it doesn't support my body in the way that someone without this disorder does. So I can just be stood up and like fall over, which I've done before. Like I'm just stood there not moving because like my joint will give way and things. So and I get a lot of chronic fatigue because my muscles take up the slack for the joint tissue and things. So there's all sorts of things that come with it. But yeah, it's different for every person. So like I do get like semi dislocations every now and then. I've got a problem with my back and like my shoulder at the minute that I'm sure is caused because something's going on with this shoulder.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, yeah, that's it. But to actually find a way of structure, like my days change every single day. I must admit, I don't help myself a lot of the time because I'm a chronic overworker. I have been since school. You know, I've always kind of over delivered. And I guess it's kind of finding a routine, I would say, that actually really helps me. So I'm still trying to find that magic routine that'll, you know, get me out of bed in the morning and I'll feel amazing. But I think finding that flow day to day has been really important, and sort of trusting my body and you know, listening to my body. So realizing when I actually need to stop rather than working really late some nights, or, you know, if during the day I need to take a break. Like that's what I love about my job now, is that I can work for myself and take a break when I need to, or take a day off if I need to. Whereas if I got up in my previous job, if I got up and walked around for a minute offering like Maltesers to people or chocolate to people or something, you know, I'd get told off because I'm not working and things like that. So, and for me, that was actually just a way to like get up and stretch my legs so I'm not stiff or getting, you know, like hurting or anything for a long period of time. But yeah, I think it's all about like listening and intuitively to what I need day to day has been huge.
Yeah, and I love that just working for yourself like allows you to do that.
Yes.
Has there been any challenges as far as like client relationships or things like that when you're having some kind of an episode and you can't do the work, or do you let them know up front? I know a lot of people with chronic illnesses are worried about telling their clients about it. How do you deal with that?
It's really hard, I think. And I think for a few years, I did try to hide it from clients and I didn't tell them what was going on and stuff. But I think what I'm trying to do now is be like much more upfront about it. So a lot of my clients are either people that have been in my audience for a while, or they've come from word of mouth, or they're even like friends in sort of circles that I'm in. And I'm now at the point over the past sort of 18 months, I've opened up a lot more about it. I think there's a lot more I could do. Like, that's why I was so glad to get on this podcast with you. Because I think there's so many times that people don't speak out about what they're going through, particularly when it comes to chronic illness, or even, you know, temporary illness or mental illness and things like that. There's just not enough people talking about it. And I think the more that we can talk about it and the more that it becomes like the norm, I think the more that clients are going to understand. Like, I know for me, like a lot of my current clients, you know, one of my previous clients, we've just launched a website and new brand for her. She has a chronic illness, you know, she has multiple chronic illnesses herself. Yeah. So she completely understood. And I guess it's kind of, you know, I had a client call recently with a potential new client, and I just said to her, like, I just actually felt like really called at that point to open up to her about my chronic illness, because she'd had issues with health in the past. And that made that relationship a lot stronger, because she was like, thank you for sharing that. And it was like a really sort of powerful moment. So I guess, yeah, I think it's difficult, and I think it really depends on who your audience is and what you kind of, how you want to be. But I know that for me, the more that I've been trying to like, I know authenticity is this buzzword, but it's one of my brand values. And it just means that, you know, as much, you know, I will always be truly authentic and show up as me, like as I am, as my truest, most whole self. And that includes my chronic illness. Because for a long time when I was trying to hide it, like that made me more ill, because it's almost like living a double life, because you're kind of like for me, like I have pain every day and I do that. And I do have
and you have these self expectations too, because you're putting yourself out into the world like, I'm perfect, I'm fine, I have nothing going on wrong. And so then you're trying to live up to those expectations when really your body is having such a hard time keeping up with that. So it's hard to keep that a secret.
Yeah, like I had a really nasty fall in February, and I'm still recovering from it. Like that's one of the other things from my condition, is that it takes me a long time to heal. So I actually like fell down the stairs from the top step. And
oh my
it's
gosh,
like the worst fall I've ever had. I've had a few, like being, you know, with this condition, but that was just like the worst one I've had. And I landed on my elbow, and it took me like 2.5 months to stop getting nerve pain in my elbow. So for them 2.5 months, like at first, like the first 4 weeks in particular, or the first couple of weeks I was recovering. And then after that, maybe like 4 weeks after that, I was just fighting my body all the time. Like, come on, you should be able to do this by now. Like, just do the work, keep pushing, keep hustling. And in the end, I just surrendered to it, because I was like, you know what, I'm working myself into the ground and it is not worth it. Like, no matter what, clients are going to understand. Like, I've had maybe like one client that was a little bit unhappy at stuff being a bit later, but I also feel that I could have been a bit more open with them about what was going on with me.
Gotcha.
Whereas a lot of other clients, I just told them like, look, I've had this fall, I'm going to have to push things back. And they just got it. Like, they understood. And I think a lot of the time, you know, people are human, and hopefully you're working with really nice people. You don't want to work with horrible people, you know. So I think the more that you can actually open up to people and actually, you know, being vulnerable, I've found, whether that's on stage giving a talk and I've been vulnerable with people, I get people coming up to me afterwards saying, you saying that stuff has helped me realize what I need to talk about and what I need to do. So I think the more that you can be vulnerable with other people, the more that helps them open up and realize what they can do.
Absolutely. And I think just for me personally, doing things like this podcast, and it used to be my blogging where I was a lot more open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
It helps me kind of get used to talking about it too. And so like you're doing your talks. I saw on your website, you're like speaker extraordinaire, which is awesome.
Thank you.
I had no idea about that, and then I went on your website. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl's got it going on.
I do get out enough about myself, so yeah.
That was so cool. So it's like getting yourself out there, practicing talking about it, just all the time it's really helped me process things. And it's also, again, like you were saying, I get a lot of people coming to me on Instagram or just via email being like, thank you so much for talking about that, because I thought I was the only one, or I didn't know like how to process going through this. And even with both of us having different chronic illnesses, I think just being able to talk about that and how we're running our businesses through those things hopefully will help some of you guys out there listening. At least I hope so.
I hope so too. I was just about to say those words.
Yeah. I guess another thing that, like, as far as the client communication, just from my end, I have kind of structured my business in a way where I'm working with other individual entrepreneurs. I guess the solopreneur is more the term.
Yeah.
I found that specifically with like, I think just the way my heart feels, I connect with those people so deep down, and they're usually the same kind of people that are also going to be very, very understanding about my illnesses. And we're taking on these long-term engagements, usually over like 6 months, to build out everything. And so they know things are going to pop up. And I don't know if I intentionally built my business in that way, but it has been really, really helpful to have clients like that, because they always understand.
Absolutely.
And because it's a long-term process, like, I know if I take a break during one point that I can like kind of speed it up at other points.
Yeah.
So having like, instead of just being like, I'm going to get this whole thing done in a month, like you don't have a lot of wiggle room there. But if we say we're going to make this whole transformation over 6 months, you have that wiggle room. So I try to like kind of work as hard and as fast as I can at the beginning because I know things pop up. So that was just one way I kind of structured my process to better reflect how my body is feeling and doing and all of that stuff. But
you're giving me ideas now. I can feel my brain going like overtime.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's that's something I've kind of switched this past year because before I was really taking on whatever came my way, and it was all relating to branding, but it was, oh, you need this project or that project, like I can do that and it'll probably take me 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. And now it's really this long-term transformational process, which is really vibing with the way that I am kind of needing my business to run for my life, which is, it's been cool. Oh, okay. So also I want to talk about passive income streams because I know no matter what you're doing, like those are going to be great ways to kind of front load your work so that you can make money later, and you can do it on your own time. And I saw that you had some of this going on as well. So I would love to hear how that has kind of helped you manage your illness and your business and all of that.
Absolutely. Like the ideal scenario for me is that I want to work kind of like 50-50 on client work, which I adore and love. Like I have very similar values, I think, to you from having seen you on Instagram and chatting to you and things like that and hearing us like talk now. And I know that I do like branding stuff, and I was just gonna, it was resonating so much with me when you said how much it's deepened for you, because it has for me. Like in the past 6 months in particular, like my work has deepened with my clients a heck of a lot. And
good.
I think, like I love that. But I also know that for me, like working full time on my client work just like drains me. Like when I said then that I'm getting ideas from what you said about your process, because like mine is a 6-week process and I feel pretty confident in doing like the process in that time, but it is getting much more deeply transformative and things like that. So that's sort of opening up doors for my end. But I think as well, I love working on my own business and my own products. Like recently I've not had as much time to do that, so I've not been like marketing my products as much, and it shows because like it takes time to build. Everyone says passive income and thinks it is actually quite passive, but there's a heck of a lot of work you have to do to do it properly. So I've created these products and they haven't been updated in a while, but they're still on my site and I'm still getting like the odd sale. But for me, like I know that I need to spend more dedicated time working on them, and I've got other things coming out, like a ConvertKit course I'm working on, and I've got so many more ideas. So the other week I actually took 2 days off at the end of the week to work on my own stuff, and I was writing. In the end, I ended up writing like some new sales pages for my actual Work With Me page and things like that are going to launch. But I would love to work like 50-50 on client work and my own business and my own products, because I know that I kind of, as much as I love my client work, I don't know if you relate to this or any other sort of designers or creators who will relate to this if they hear it, but whenever I'm working with clients, I feel like I'm sending off a part of my soul to them for judgment in a way. Like you almost think like, oh gosh, like I hope, the process I go through, I know I've gone so deep with them and took such a deep dive into what they do and how they tick and everything, that I know what I'm creating is going to be aligned with what they want. But it's at the same time, it's kind of like, oh gosh, like I really hope they love it as much as I do and things like that. Yes. So this, like, just for me, like that sort of feeling when I send something off to a client, like that drains my body a little bit more anyway. So I want to kind of find a way of balancing that with working on products, because I love teaching. Like I was actually told in high school I should be a teacher, and I realized the other month I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of doing that now, like teaching courses and products and stuff. And I love writing. So I think the more that you can do that, particularly if you've got a chronic illness, because I know it's a lot of work to sort of get the course written or set up or a book written and designed and things, particularly if you're not a designer, but say you're a creative person and you need to work with a designer to get them sorted. But I think the more that you can create things like that, if you can create more of that passive income to get into your business and get that sort of money flowing, then I think, you know, I think it's going to feed into other parts of your business as well. So I know that when I work on my products, my client work is better because I'm sort of splitting my creative energy in a way that fulfills me rather than drains me.
Absolutely. And I feel like when you were talking about how you give so much of like your soul to your clients, you can only give so much of your soul at one time.
Exactly.
So, I know. And I like splitting the things up. Like right now I had a big call with my business coach this morning, just kind of going over all the different launches and things that are going on for the rest of the year alongside like the one-on-one clients I'll be working with.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm doing like 75% of like passive income things, but it's actually, I'm in the phase of doing the work for them.
Yes.
So it's super intense.
It is.
And really I didn't know it would be this intense. And then not even just creating it, but marketing things. I'm like, I am a maniac. Like this is insane. Like you can't just create a great product. You have to be able to market it well too.
Absolutely.
And I think that I was falling short on that end. But I did want to share one thing about the like creating your course. So I created a course this past year and we just launched the second round of it. And it was really cool because the first round was when I actually created the course, and I actually didn't create the course until it went live and I had people signed up for it. So I did kind of this weird slow launch where I was like, well, if no one signs up, then I'm not going to do it. And just putting it out into the world, saying that I was doing it, and I had my outline created. I made a sales page and I was like, okay, who wants to do this? Then I got a couple signups and I created the course week by week as we went through it. And while that was kind of hard, I kind of just did it as weird overtime. I didn't worry about like spending all this time to create it before. I did my normal day of work, and then at night I was like, okay, I have to make this week's course. And it was all based on information that I do with my one-on-one clients anyway. So it was not like I was having to come up with this new theory or thoughts or anything. It was very much like what is already ingrained in me, which I think is great for anybody's course, like what you already know 100%. So then I just created it. And then this launch, I literally didn't have to do anything as far as making the course went. And that took away so much stress. So I think that as you launch things and do it more and more, you can add on little by little to what you're doing. And you really don't have to worry about it being too perfect at first. I think the most important thing is just getting it out there and getting it started. And then you can grow from there little by little. And I
completely agree, because that's like, I am my worst enemy when it comes to things like that. Like I said near the beginning, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So when it comes to things like that, you know, like I want to stage it all. I want it to look perfect. I want the editing to be perfect. I want to launch it with absolutely everything it could be. Like the ConvertKit course I'm working on at the minute, like I've had the outline complete for, probably about a year now. I'm looking at, like, we're in May. Yeah, probably about a year. And I've just, you know, for various things like health reasons, last year my health just took a dive. And so I just didn't prioritize that. And I prioritized maybe like my one-on-one work so that I could have money coming in and not have to focus on both. But when it comes to creating it, I use a platform called Coach for all my digital products and stuff. And I was having a call with Spencer, who's the CEO and the founder of Coach. And he was like, Rachel, you just need to get it out there. Like, you just need to launch it at the bare minimum and then go with it. Like, make it better as you go along. Add more modules to it if you want to, because this course is going to be like crazy comprehensive. But it's not like the A to Z of ConvertKit. It's more like creating a powerful brand with ConvertKit, which is actually about email marketing techniques. And what was really funny as well is when we talk about how like the marketing side of things is really difficult, I realized like I was kind of like, how am I going to market this? Like, how am I going to do it? I'm a ConvertKit certified expert, so geek, like I said. I'm a ConvertKit geek. I know all of these are email marketing techniques, but I've not been putting them into practice myself because I just haven't done it. Like, there's always been an excuse. Even though I've got half of it written and done, I've just never set it up. So I decided in the end, you know, like I'm going to become my own case study. I'm going to actually put all of the techniques from the course into practice myself, and then I can also show like the results of it with the course. So I think like as a creative person, there's always something new that you can do, a new way to market it. But when it comes to your courses, yeah, like they do not have to be perfect, and B, like the marketing side of it, you should probably focus on more than actually creating the course. Because I think like I know that the course I create will be good. Like I know that because I know the content is going to be really good. But when it comes to marketing it, like that's my weak spot. So I've had courses and products out now, and I've never marketed them properly. I've never launched them properly. And I was so in admiration of you with the course you've just launched, because it felt in integrity with how you want to do things as well. Like it wasn't so in your face and, you know, doing launches the way people say you should be doing launches and stuff. It just felt a lot more in integrity with you, your brand, and your business. And I think that's just so important nowadays. Like even
it is okay. So like I felt just like going behind the scenes of that, I felt so pushy and weird about everything. But I have it's really thank you for saying that, because it makes me feel good. I tried to keep it like everything I did with that launch and just everything I do, I go back to my core values every single time. And it sounds hokey, and that's what that whole course was about. But it like it literally grounds me with every decision. And being able to go into that and then kind of showcase what the course can really help you do from some of the testimonials and showcasing that transformation, and just putting it out there over and over and over, even if it seems ridiculous to me. That's what, I mean, I didn't even do that the first time, but that was what I did this round, and it worked. It was a successful launch. So
exactly. And that's, I love that you say about your core values, because that's the same for me. Like I'm obsessed with the number 7. I was born on the 7th of June. I'm 27 this year, so I'm kind of like getting all excited because it's all the 7s. Because it's 2017 as well, so it's like 7, and I'm obsessed. But, so I have 7 brand values as well. Like I actually didn't intend to do that. Yeah, like
oh my gosh, that's so many. That's good.
But they feel really good to me. Like they actually. Oh, wow, sorry, my Fitbit just vibrated at me, and I was like, "What's going on?" And it's like I'm waving my arms around, talking to you so much.
It's like you're getting a big workout.
Yeah, so that just like completely threw me. But yeah, so I'm obsessed with the number 7, and I've got 7 brand values, but everything I do like links into them. Like one of them for me used to be fun, and I realized like, well, not everything is fun, so I'm not going to just not do like my business admin because it's not fun, but instead it's kind of like, you know, one of mine now is positivity. I do try to be positive. I do try to, you know, see the light in everything. And also, you know, one of them is light, like be the light as well. So I think the way that you did that was just so inspiring to me as another designer that works on products and courses as well, because I just thought, okay, I can actually do this in a way that, you know, probably to me will feel really icky and will feel like, oh God, I'm just shouting about it all the damn time. But you know, like it did not come across that way to me. That's good.
And that's what, like, I have a business coach, and she was helping me through kind of the strategy of that. Because like I feel like I know what to do, but having her there every week individually and just being like, okay, here's the plan. Like it's like having a business partner without like having to actually have somebody else in your business.
I love that.
So it's amazing. I'm a full proponent of business coaches and that one-on-one individual attention for your business and brand. It's incredible. But she was saying that, like, not everybody is going to look at everything that you're doing. So, no one is that like that intensely following you. Whether you want, like you're following yourself, but no one else is like that interested. Exactly. Like they are, but they're not. So
that's it. Like I used to talk about branding and I was like, consistency is one of the most powerful tools when it comes to your brand. And that's true. I still think, but it's like, if you don't send your email out on a Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. every week, you're not going to get someone emailing you at 3:01 saying, where's the email? Like it's not going to happen. And I think it's just the more that you can sort of sink into what feels good to you when you're doing stuff like launching or marketing or, you know, even your one-on-one stuff and launching that, I think the better. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that, like, I felt like I was posting so much, but she said something along the lines where I think I've just read this too, where people need to engage with that offer, basically, that offer of possibility, at least like 5 to 7 times before they're kind of like, okay, yes, this is it. And that is really why like those internet pop-up ads that like track where you've been and then you see like the shoes that you were looking at pop up on like all the other websites, like that's why they work so well. They keep it on top of your mind. So when you are marketing, like it seems like you're going over the top. And yes, to some people you might. I got lots of unsubscribes, which whatever.
That's normal though. Yeah, that's
I know. Because they're just like, okay, they're clearly not like needing what I'm offering. And that's fine. Like, please, like, go do your own thing, get supported where you need to be supported.
Yeah.
But it like, I think doing that, just knowing that those people need to see it 5 to 7 times was really key. This kind of turned into a marketing podcast.
Well, I think that's it. Like when you've got, I mean, that's one of the things I teach in my course actually is that, you know, you've got to have those sequences and funnels in place and everything to sort of help with things like that, because people aren't necessarily, you know, I had one audience member who actually bought everything I have to offer, like every single product of mine in one day, and then signed up to work with me one-on-one on like a call we had 4 days later.
Oh my gosh.
I know, amazing. But she'd been a part of my audience for like 6 months before that. So, you know, it just goes to, I mean, I wasn't even emailing every week at that point because I was just doing it so badly. But I guess this kind of goes to show like people, and I love when you said about the unsubscribes, like that's fine, because you want people that are on your list and that are on your audience that are really engaged with you and your work and who you are. And so, yeah.
I love what you said about the client being a part of your audience for a long time. I was talking to Rachel before the show and I was like, oh, I'm having a good day. Like I got a new project from like a new client. And we've literally been talking for almost 2 years.
Yes, there you go.
And I'm here for you. Like whenever you need this. I've talked to her several times in those 2 years about the possibilities of working together. And finally today we settled on what she needed and she's finally in a place where she's ready to like do that leap. And I was like, excellent. But it was 2 full years of pre-work.
Exactly.
And it wasn't like not all the time, but it really does take a long time for people to kind of trust your brand, get to know you, and know that you're really that right person to help them get to the next level.
Absolutely. And I think in a way, shifting it from marketing to chronic illness and running your business in that way, I think the more that you can show up as you are, like I know that for me, the more I showed up, like I've got this little saying now that I just try and repeat to myself all the time, like my most authentic self, like the more that I can show up as my most authentic self and actually be the person that I am, warts and all, chronic illness and all, you know, good and bad. I think the more that I've done that, the more that people, like I've got a more engaged audience. I'm getting more replies to things, whether that's on like Twitter or Instagram, or emails that I send out. You know, I'm actually connecting with my audience on a level that they really value and that they seem to really want to see. And I think the world needs us to, needs to see us as we are. And we need that most authentic self to shine through. And I think, that's where that becomes really important. So
I completely agree.
Yay.
Good for doing that. Yay. So, okay, we went on all of the biggest tangents, which I loved. But I would love to kind of finish up with my fun question, which is just you sharing something that you're really loving right now.
Yeah. So I was actually looking through the sort of questions you sent over to me because I love that, because I would otherwise have been totally stuck. But what I wanted to say actually was about this lady called Ruthie Lindsay. I don't know if you know her, but
Yes,
I follow her on Instagram. You do. So I followed Ruthie, oh my gosh, Ruthie for about 6 or 8 months or something, maybe even a year now, actually, it might be. And I found her through another lady I follow, Sophia Bush, who was on like one of my favorite shows when I was younger, One Tree Hill. And yeah. And
I know what you're talking. I didn't watch it. I think it was like my parents did not allow me to, or I had very like strict
parents.
Like
used pocket money to buy the DVDs so that I could watch it. So yeah, like she was one of my favorite actresses, and she's like an activist now, and she sort of mentioned her a while back, and I guess it was at a point in my not sure of this term, I think it's used overly, but like my chronic illness journey and things like that, where I kind of was trying to show up as that more authentic version of myself. And I saw what Sophia had posted about her on Instagram. And I just, it just struck me that this is a lady that lives in chronic pain every day, but she still manages to be this like super positive being in the world, and really inspires a lot of people just by being positive. And I'm just loving that at the minute. I was just, it sort of helps me aspire to that level, that even on bad days, you can still find the positivity somewhere. Which again, like links into my brand values and everything that I am. So yeah, it's just, Can
you remind me of what like her journey was a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, I know I followed her or found her stuff a while ago, but I haven't engaged with it again recently.
That's it. Yeah. Like I follow her on Instagram, and when you see her Instagram stories, for example, like she's just so, I just like smile like every time that I see them, there's just, whether she's like dancing or just admiring everything around her in the world, like from a flower to a sunset to people that she's with, and I think it just inspires me to realize that we all go through, whether we've got a chronic illness or whether we're stressed about our work, we're running our business, we're stressed about it, whatever it is, there's something that everyone's always going through. Like that whole saying of like, you can look at someone and never, like, to look at me walking down the road, you'd never know that I've got a disability and a chronic illness and things. So I just kind of love that she's like this radiant sort of positivity in the world. And it just kind of helps me. I've always tried to be that way anyway, but, it just makes me want to do that even more. So yeah, I'm kind of loving that at the minute.
All right. So finishing up here, are there any like kind of products or services or things that you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, sure. So I've got a number of products. Like I've got a workbook called the Revolutionary Brand Workbook and the Revolutionary Brand Toolkit. Sneak peek, I'm actually working on combining both of them because I think they work better together. But if you buy either one of them, then you'll get upgraded to the new one. So feel free to hop over to my shop on my website for that. Do you want the URL now, or do you want me to?
Yeah, why don't you say it, and then I'll have it in the show notes too.
Okay, cool. So you can hop over to rachely.com/shop and you will get that. And I'm also launching a little pop-up service soon, which is kind of like a brand intensive. We'll hop on a call for a couple of hours, sort of chat about your brand values, because I think that's one of the missing things for my clients is I ask them what their values are and they're not really sure how to get there. Yes. So I'm sort of testing the waters with something new. And I'm going to be launching this brand intensive where we get on a call, like hash it all out for a couple of hours. And then I'll create them, some aligned graphics and things as well to do with that.
Yeah. So I don't know if this would like help you help them, but I do have my my free Cultivate Your Brand's Core course, which is just like an email course that helps people find their brand values.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you took that, but that would definitely like, it would just be like another perspective of like finding values that maybe you can use with them if it helps you at all. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because I like that. Cool. Yeah, you're doing like the same sense, like not this, we're all doing different things. We're our own people, but like I love that you're into the values as much as I am, because I totally believe that is the backbone of everything that we do. And the more people that can build that into their businesses and their brands, I'm just go for it. That's awesome.
That's it. And that's
why
I want to help people do it, because I do it with like my one-on-one clients, but I know that not everyone has the money or the budget at that point where I still think it's really important to create them. So I do it with my design clients quite often, but I've got people coming up to me that are like, I need help and I don't know how to get this visual style, and I'm like, right, well, you need to not start there, like you need to start with the values. So I love that. And good. We'll see how it goes.
Can we go over, like, I know I skipped over this question, but because you are such a value person, can we go over your brand values?
Yeah, of course. So I have 7, like I said.
Okay.
What I'll do is I've actually got like a little description that I have with each one.
Perfect.
So my first one is generosity. And I have that generosity is like one of the founding pillars of my business. So always be generous with my time, my energy, and my creativity, and everything I can. So that for me, spills out into every part of my business, from like my main opt-in, which is called the Vault, and that's like this free sort of branding resource that's got tons of different things in there, from like the questionnaire I use with my clients all the way through to webinars that I do and things like that. So they're all dumped in that little Vault. Not dumped though, like gently, nicely organized in the Vault.
Yeah.
And then I've got positivity, so always be like a shining beacon and a positive force in the world, because I think we've got enough negativity going on, and I want to be positive and happy, which leads me on to happiness, and that's more of a reminder for me to choose happiness daily. So to actually make that conscious choice each day to be happy and to be positive and to actually do things that light me up. I've then got creativity, because I feel that until I started drawing mandalas last year, which is something I do, like at the minute I'm doing a 100-day project, I'm completely behind by about 10 days or something. Oh. But I'm getting there. I'm going to catch up very soon. But I've been drawing mandalas since about last June, so almost a year. And I just felt until that point, I'd kind of like lost my creative self. So this creativity value for me is to really remind myself to infuse that creativity into every part of my work, and to never do anything that will sacrifice my creativity as well. So really working on projects that matter to me. And then light, so be the light. So actually be, again, in that kind of positive way, be that person that is willing to show up and to actually be myself, and to sort of, again, be that positive force in the world, is that sort of thing, is the reminder to keep doing that. And then connection, because although I'm an introvert, I love people. So I really want to choose real meaningful connection over everything else. And then again, it is a buzzword, but it is one of my biggest values is authenticity. So to always be truly authentic and show up as my most authentic self, whatever that means, whether that's a good day, bad day. So that's my brand values.
I love how thoughtful they all are, and
thank you.
Just, that's awesome that you do that work, and I'm sure every single one of those helps you make every decision for your business and what you're taking on and how you're living your life and all of that. And
absolutely.
Yay! I'm like seriously sitting here like shaking my arms up in the air. I'm like so pumped.
I
love values.
Me too. Out over it. Just absolutely.
It's so good. I feel like I need that, like, I don't know if it's like a trust in myself issue. But well, like, okay, so say you're just living your life and you make these decisions. I think it might be a little bit of I don't trust my gut. Even though I try to follow my intuition and my gut all the time. But having those values that I've kind of procured from my intuition and my gut helps me like do that double check. 'Cause it's like from my heart and soul, but it's also from my head. So when I can like mix those two together and know that I'm making a right decision based on these values that I've predetermined, then I feel set, and it's always worked.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm 100% the same. Like because I try to follow my intuition, and I find that when I ignore it, that's when like bad things happen. But when you can actually like like you say, that double check. So, okay, I think this, I feel this, but does it match up with these? And if it doesn't, then you're like, right, okay, maybe that's why I'm not feeling that way. Because you get so used to living in that way of you know, does this align with these? Does this align with who I want to be and what I am and what I want to be? And yeah, I guess the more that you can do that, and it becomes a second nature type of thing as well. I think the more that you do it. So
yep. Yeah, it has, sometimes I like forget my values in a weird way because I'm just, it's so ingrained in what I'm doing that I start to make decisions that are like the decisions I made before. Yeah. And I just go off that instead of 100% going to my values, but I do. Yeah. I do. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing about all of this. This was such a fun show to record.
I know, I've loved it.
To get to talk with you.
Yes.
Awesome. Yay for Instagram.
I know.
I seriously make all my connections on Instagram because I just like, I listen to everybody's stories and then, like you said, just talk with them, and here we are.
I'm so bad with stories. Like, the introvert in me is still like, I've got to try and get my face on there a bit more because I tend to show off my office. So like I was really proud of my lamp, and like one of the first Instagram stories I did was about my lamp, and I was just like showing that side of me that no one sees because no one sees me on video. And I was like, my lamp, I was all excited, and yeah, so it's just like
oh, I love it.
I'm a bit scarred, but I need to get on them more.
So I went on my, this is just a side note again, side tangent central over here, but I went on my first Periscope, like back when Periscope was a thing. And I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to make a painting and you're going to watch me. And I didn't talk at all. And I realized I was like, oh, I guess I should probably talk through this. And it was just, I felt so like vulnerable and just like weird after it, and it was just like, okay, I gotta get better at this. So I did a couple more Periscopes, which were terrifying, but I wrote little notes for myself to like do it, and I don't know, the more I started just talking and doing it, the more natural it felt. And then the same with, I think Instagram stories came after the point of me doing this podcast and like talking. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to like talk to anybody who will listen on my stories. And
well, you're so good
I was talking to my, oh, thank you. Well, my best friend was talking to me last night. She's like, I actually listened to all of your stories today. Exactly. I never do that. Cause usually it's just like, I'm a Kelsey bobblehead talking about my life. And she like makes fun of me. I'm like, thanks, Megan. Like,
oh yeah, I get made fun of for doing it as well. Like that's why the lamp incident is in my mind. But no, like it's like the Periscope stuff. The first one I did, I've only ever done 2. The first one I did was me saying hi to everyone that joined for 15 minutes. Like, oh, right. hi, like, ask me a question. No one asked the question, so hi. And then I just thought me saying that, my dogs are probably going to go running to me now, because that's what I say to them.
Oh, yeah.
But then the second one was like a disaster, and no one joined, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to end it. And so I just ended it and then deleted it and everything. I was like, no, that's not staying on there.
I think you have to have those, like, and I'm not going to say that they're failures because I think that they're tries.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's awesome to get those out of the way because they just practice and prep, like they help you practice and they prep you for the next things. And
absolutely.
Now I'm like, I'm doing webinars and I never have done those before. And that came really naturally, but I don't think it would have had I not been kind of practicing talking in front of people about what I do and all the Instagram stories and that kind of stuff. So
exactly. You've helped me reframe Instagram stories actually with you saying that, because for me, like doing webinars is so much easier because I've like given talks on stage. So I've kind of got used to crafting that story and things. And now I'm actually like, oh, okay. I've seen a way that can actually work for me now.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Yeah. So I think we're going from opposite directions. You're coming from this really prepared professional essence of like
well
speaking.
Yeah, you say
like
that.
Maybe, being authentic and yourself, of course, and then like maybe in like the webinars are in the middle and then the Instagram stories are the lowbrow of like public interaction, and that's where I started. And now I'm like working my way up.
Absolutely. So I think it's all interconnected, isn't it, in a way? But
right.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was It was just awesome getting to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I've loved it. Thank you.
Thank you to our sponsor, Audible.com, for supporting the show. Please head to audibletrial.com/pinegateroad to get a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute and head to iTunes to rate and review the show. It makes a big difference in growing the show, and I'll be here giving you a virtual high five behind the scenes. You can follow along with the studio for branding tips, advice, and general inspiration on Instagram, username pinegateroad, or by heading to pinegateroad.com for everything else happening in the studio. Sending lots of love and wishing you an awesome week. You've got this.